Welcome to Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft and I'm mocking, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. Got a great one for you. We got actually a 2-round mock draft. Heading over to The Athletic, taking a look at Dane Brugler, one of the most respected draft minds in the biz. Taking a look at that mock draft. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. A little bit more on them later, but if you do sign up, remember promo code BROSHMO. We got pick 1, Tennessee Titans. They're going to be going with Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. This is, I feel like everyone and their mom's going to have the Titans taking a quarterback. We know Will Levis, he ain't the guy. You're picking first overall. You get your pick of the gander. Question is, how much does the NFL love this quarterback class? And to me, it's like you got 2 first-round caliber quarterbacks in this class. And I mean, if you think about it, after Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, it's Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, like maybe those are day 2 guys. Maybe there's like a Kyle McCord, a Will Howard, who's been hot through the college football playoff, but like it's limited. It's slim pickings. So if you have a guy that you think is at the very least a top 20 prospect at the quarterback position, you take that swing because it's the most valuable position on an NFL roster. And with Brian Callahan there, you got to think, you just saw the GM get fired. You might be feeling the hot seat a little bit yourself. So you want to inspire some hope in the building. You probably do it by taking a quarterback here. Okay, we got pick 2. We got the Cleveland Browns taking Abdul Qadir, who's become a popular pick for the Browns as of late. I mean, you get to pair him up with stinking Myles Garrett. That's freaking awesome. But quarterback, obviously quarterback is like one of the most dire positions for the Browns because they're paying a lot for quarterback who is not playing for them, and when he has played for him has not been that good. He got Deshaun Watson. He re-aggravated or had a setback with the Achilles. Sounds like he's played his final snap for the Browns. It's just, I mean, at this juncture, do you feel great about Shedeur Sanders here with this pick? And if you don't, then just go ahead and reap the benefits of it being a very good defense class in general, defensive line class especially. And just continue to add talent, and then maybe you could get Kirk Cousins on a veteran minimum. That way you can stay competitive. But I have a feeling the Browns are going to be looking for their quarterback somewhere down the line, not in this draft. Pick 3. The New York Giants are going with Travis Hunter. Holy moly, dude. So we're going to see Sanders continue to fall. Question is now the Raiders, with their pick at 6, does he come off the board there? But the Giants are going to take his teammate, Travis Hunter. Who is he, a wide receiver? Is he a corner? We'll find out throughout the process. Regardless, he's one of the most talented players, if not the most talented player in this class. You could argue and make a case for him as wide receiver 1. You could do the very same thing as him as corner 1 in this class. The Giants, honestly, probably better fit for him to play corner here for the Giants, because I feel like that's just a more dire spot than wide receiver right now, because you got Malik Neighbors. You've seen promising things with Wan'Dale Robinson, and you could probably add later on in the draft to the wide receiver position. You could bring in some guys free agencies wise. So yeah, cool. I like it. You like the NFL draft. Matter of fact, you love the NFL draft, which means you're going to love my draft guide. If you want to know every player your team drafts or even signs as an undrafted free agent, then this is for you. My draft guide updates every day, and you'll be able to see those updates in real time as I add new evals and player backgrounds. It'll have analytics from this year and last year. It'll have the pro day and combine numbers. It'll even have my notes from the Senior and Shrine Bowl. It's a one-time purchase of $30 via PayPal, Venmo, or the Cash App. You can check out the pinned comment or the description if you want to follow those links. And when you do purchase it, please be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to require your email. Don't make me hunt it down. because I will hunt you down. I will find you and I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Anywho, thanks for supporting the channel. New England Patriots, they're going to go with Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. I mean, hey, the Patriots, they need wide receiver help, right? It's not a great wide receiver room. Some would dare say it's the worst wide receiver room in all of football. Shoot, the worst pass catchers in general, worst weapons in all of football. So if they want to go out and get Tetaroa McMillan, address the offensive line via free agency, I kind of like that move. I kind of like it. I kind of like it quite a bit. I wouldn't mind more speed at the wide receiver position for the Patriots, but you could get speed really anywhere. Just go ahead, take whoever the top wide receiver is on your board. You could also make a case for some defense with this pick. Jacksonville Jaguars go with Will Johnson. I absolutely love Will Johnson. I love the idea of pairing him up with Tyson Campbell, and bam, there's your young studded wide or cornerback room for the future. I think the Jaguars are in a really good spot where they could go Will Johnson, they could go Mason Graham, and feel really good about it. And yeah, man, I love Will Johnson. Hopefully everything checks out with the injuries. He was banged up this year. I did just do my cornerback rankings, and I talk a little bit more in depth about that, so you can check out that video. Okay, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. They do take Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. And I mean, the minute he made it past the Giants, you knew he was going to the Raiders. I feel like if the Raiders are going to want him, they're probably going to have to move up for him. We could see teams like the Jets maybe make a move if, depending on what goes on with Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. I mean, the Raiders, we still got to figure out who's the GM, who's the head coach. Tom Brady's up in the building now, so maybe Dion's on his way to Las Vegas. Regardless, Shedeur, though, I think would be a good pick. Someone that could come in and already behind an offensive line that is headed in the right direction and bring some stability at the quarterback position. New York Jets, they're going to go with Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. The Jets are also in, I think, a good spot where maybe Tetaroa McMillan, Will Johnson, or Mason Graham falls to them at 7. I really like just the spot in general. You get to pair up Mason Graham with Quinnen Williams. That sounds very alluring. I like that quite a bit. It's just the question mark is what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, right? Okay, we got pick 8. Carolina Panthers. They go with Jalen Walker, edge out of Georgia. This team needs to elevate the ceiling of talent when it comes to the defense. Poor Evero ain't working with a lot of talent there. It's one of the worst units, I would say, in terms of just talent ceiling. When it comes just to their ability, it's just one of the worst units in football, in my opinion. Walker, he gives you some versatility, some flexibility, but it's what he can do as a pass rusher while you're taking him this high. Pick 9. It's going to be the New Orleans Saints taking Malachi Starks. What? I got to read this one. Okay, safety might feel like a luxury option for the Saints that need help at quarterback, pass catcher, and defensive line, but Starks can play across the secondary and be a difference maker in different ways, or be a playmaker in different ways. With his athleticism, football IQ, and makeup, he will be an easy sell in an NFL war room. Oh my gosh, dude. Because you do look at that safety group for the Saints. I mean, you got the Honey Badger. Let's take a gander real quick at the current roster. The Saints, take a look at the starting safeties, because they got Jordan Howden, who I think is a good player there. And then, okay, Will Harris. That's funny. Yeah, maybe you can make a case for safety. The Honey Badger doesn't mind playing in the slot. You got Alontae Taylor there too, who's just kind of a defensive back in his own right. Yeah, I guess I don't mind the pick. I don't mind it. I mean, I would rather offensive line, defensive line. I think the trenches are kind of a priority for the Saints. I jokingly say, let's see what they do in free agency, because we all know that they're like 70 million over the cap. They got other problems they got to figure out, but interesting pick, certainly. The Chicago Bears are going to go with Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. Let's read this sucker. Simmons was tending towards being OT1 in this class until he suffered a knee injury mid-October, which required season-ending surgery. From what I heard, it was a torn ACL. His draft stock will be in limbo until the combine when teams receive medical feedback from their doctors, but if he's healthy, Simmons is a natural left tackle with a high ceiling. Kind of depends what they do with Braxton Jones, in my opinion. If they move him, which I think they could do this off season, because they're certainly probably don't want to pay him. Or they could. I mean, I don't like the idea of like bringing Simmons in and then just kicking him to guard just because you can. I think, hey, move Braxton Jones. Simmons is your long-term at left tackle, and then use free agency to plug in the rest of the offensive line along that interior. I think that's the best course of action. So I like this pickup. I don't mind the pick, but let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Underdog of Fantasy. It's the best place to play weekly best ball, or my favorite, higher or lower on player sets. It's not just the NFL, guys. It's all kinds of sports, baseball, basketball, cricket, esports even. So you could get in on the action at Underdog Fantasy. They have promos each and every day, and you could start with this one, Broshmo. That's right. You sign up, you use promo code Broshmo, and they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. It's an utterly ludicrous deal. So if you want to get in on the action, then start your journey over here at Underdog Fantasy. But as always, play responsibly, play within your means, pick 11. And the Niners are going with Armand Membu, tackle / guard out of Missouri. Dude, Membu has been a hot riser for people as of late. I don't mind him being able to stick at tackle, but with the Niners, you have an immediate space available at left guard with Aaron Banks being a free agent. So if you want to start him there, have him under the learning tree of Trent Williams, I'm A-okay with it, dude. Again, I love Armand Membu. Haven't seen Kelvin Banks, haven't seen Will Campbell yet. I'm kind of interested to see where they go in this top. I imagine they both go in the top 20, but I'm interested to see where that can be the case. Dallas Cowboys go with Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Mizzou. Yeah, you can make a great case. It's a great running back class. You don't have to go with Ashton Genty here at pick 12. And I think that's fair. I think that's fine. You go with another pass catcher there to pair up with CeeDee Lamb, Luther Burden, great after the catch threat. The Miami Dolphins will go with Will Campbell. I actually pegged this as a potential landing spot because the Dolphins, all their guards are free agents. If you feel like Will Campbell is more of a guard in the NFL because you don't like the length, then cool, line him up there. I don't care. He's a great offensive lineman, and the Dolphins need a great offensive lineman. Let's move on. Indianapolis Colts, they're going with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Now, I've been very vocal about why I don't love this pick. I love Tyler Warren, but how often is Anthony Richardson really going to be throwing the football? Last year, the passing volume, tight ends only made up 15% of that. You could be like, well, they weren't that very good, but still, I expect a little bit more value from this pick, in my opinion. And if you plan on making him a focal point in this passing attack on top of what he can do as a blocker, then cool, I'm okay with it. But there are my concerns when it comes to tight end for the Colts. I believe it's very sound. It's very sound and very reasonable, and I don't get why people are mad about my take. All right, pick 15. We're going to have the Atlanta Falcons go with Shamar Stewart, defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. I keep telling y'all, get used to hearing this guy's name in the first round. Get used to hearing it in the top 20, apparently. Shamar Stewart, I feel like this is a little too close to, at least, not necessarily skill set, but like role-wise, as to what you got with Brandon Dorless, Ruka Rahoro. Maybe you don't believe in those players. I don't know. You bring in Shamar Stewart, who's 6'6", 290 pounds, very good athlete at that size. So much so that he played over top or outside the tackle a large majority of his career. But he does have that interior inside flexibility. I mean, you go to the Florida game and he played like 7 or 8 reps actually at the nose tackle position. Granted, it was in passing situations, but I liked how he looked. Pick 16. We got the Arizona Cardinals going with Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. I love the pick. Listen, Cardinals, they need to go with defensive line. I don't care if it's edge. I don't care if it's interior. Grab some talent along that defensive line because it's not great as it stands right now. Derek Harmon gives you a big body player that gets upfield in a hurry. I mean, so much so we saw what he can do this year as a pass rusher. He cleaned up the body, shedded some weight, and looked utterly unstoppable. No offensive line was impregnatable to him. Is that a word? He utterly mollywopped many offensive lines this year. We got the Cincinnati Bengals going with Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. A lot of people think he has the tools of a top 10 player, which I'm not going to argue. It's just the production hasn't been there for him. So you're probably working with a bit more of a project, a guy that you need to develop, which, hey, that's nothing new to the Cincinnati Bengals. Miles Murphy, am I right? But he hasn't really done much since arriving there. You need to get some other guys that can make a difference next to Trey Hendrickson. I think if you're the Bengals, you should probably start with the defensive line in the first round. Seattle Seahawks, they're going to go with Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle / guard out of Texas. I kind of expected Banks to go here once I saw Will Campbell going to the Dolphins. Guard's probably like the biggest need. Yeah, okay, maybe not need, but is probably the most unskilled position currently for the Seahawks. They have no one really that can play guard well. Kelvin Banks, you could immediately slot him in there, and if injuries occur with Abraham Lucas, you could kick him outside. You could kick Banks outside. He could be the long-term answer at right tackle if you don't buy into the health of Abraham Lucas. Pick 19, James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Makes all the sense in the world to me, man. I know I try to switch things up every now and then in mock drafts, but if I'm the Bucs, I want to get an edge. I need to get someone next to Yaya Diaby. Pierce, I think, is great value. To me, he's a top 10 player. Pick 20, Ashton Jeanty finally comes off the board to the Denver Broncos. Everyone in Denver would be rejoicing. I imagine he goes higher than this, but I love the fit here. No one's listen, this is one of the worst. Do I really want to call it that? It's not an inspiring running back group there. Javonte Williams will be a free agent. Hasn't been the same guy since the injury. And let's just be honest, man. Y'all don't have really anything past him anyway. Audric Estime has had flashes here and there, but he's also had fumbles. So Ashton Jeanty would be freaking phenomenal. I love the pickup there if they can nab him. Pick 21. Got the Pittsburgh Steelers going with Emeka Ibuka. Seems to be the favorite among analysts and mock drafters alike. Steelers picking up Emeka Ibuka. I mean, Ibuka, dude, consistent chain mover. They just don't have a wide receiver like that on the roster. He's a first round talent to me. Might not be the sexiest receiver in this class, but he is a high end wide receiver too. Los Angeles Chargers are going to go with Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. Harbaugh gets one of his guys in Loveland. Obviously, the pass catching ability from the tight end group currently in place there for the Chargers just ain't that good. It's just not that good. Will Disley made that very apparent during the playoffs. I say during the playoffs, in the one playoff game that they were in. So yeah, I like the pickup of Loveland. He's probably the best pass catching tight end in this class. I know you're going to look at the numbers and be like, well, freaking, you got guys like Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. Yeah, but I mean, you look at him, he's 230. It's more of a jumbo wide receiver. You're going to look at Tyler Warren, but it's Yeah, well, Loveland had really nobody throwing him the football. Warren kind of found himself being like the top pass catcher there for the Nittany Lions. So like Loveland would have had better numbers if the quarterback play was a little bit better there for the Wolverines. All right, pick 23, Green Bay Packers go with Talik Williams, offensive or defensive tackle out of Ohio State. And for me, the Packers are going defense, right? It makes sense to go with a corner. It makes sense to go with a edge, a defensive lineman, Devontae Wyatt. There we go. Hasn't really been that great. So I like the pickup. You get and especially with TJ Slaton being a free agent, that's a role that like they love having a big meaty space eater in the middle. Like I think Slaton played like 400 or 500 snaps. He's a free agent. Williams, he fills in that role immediately. Minnesota Vikings are going to go with Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. Aaron Jones is a free agent. You don't really have anything else behind him. Don't try to sell me on that snake oil that is Ty Chandler. You're just not going to do it. Caleb Johnson had a wonderful year for the Hawkeyes. He brings return capabilities, upside as a pass catcher. And he was just unstoppable. He was the Iowa offense, man. He was phenomenal. So like Vikings, they wouldn't mind getting this. I mean, pendulum's starting to hit the other way when it comes to the run game in the NFL. So this is what would in past years be like, okay, that's not really picking a position of value. It's not really the same this year. Running backs are becoming more valuable. Pick 25, Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, going to the Texans. The interior for the Texans is awful right now. Tyler Booker would be an immediate upgrade over a guy like, let's say, a Kenyon Green. You also have Shaq Mason starting to enter the twilight of his career. So the Booker pick makes sense to me. I think I'm going to have Donovan Jackson ahead of him. But I mean, these are both very skilled guard players that deserve to go top 50. The Rams are going to go with Josh Connerly Jr., tackle out of Oregon. Love to see it. Larrick Jackson's a free agent. I imagine they bring him back, but also you got Rob Havenstein's up there in years. I think he's going to be going into his year 33 season. So you could be looking for that next tackle. Connerly Jr. would be a great scheme fit for Sean McVay. I almost said Mike McVay. Sean McVay. There we go. Okay, we got the Commanders. They're going to go with my boy Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. If you're not new to the channel, you know I'm an absolute mark for Mike Green. I think he's the most bendy pass rusher in this class, and the Commanders could definitely use more talent at the edge position. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right, we got pick 28. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens taking Donovan Jackson, tackle / guard. Okay, so Donovan Jackson, honestly, he has shined as a tackle as of late. He's had a really strong run in the college football playoff against very good defenses in like Tennessee, Texas, Oregon. He's looked good. He's not the same guy that was playing tackle against Abdul Carter in Penn State. He's looked very good thus far, but I still think his home is at guard, which is fine for the Ravens. You could upgrade guard. You have Patrick Macari or Macari Patrick. I always forget which way those names go, but he's a free agent. But also Ronnie Stanley. He's a free agent. So this could be a left tackle replacement. I don't think it's out of the cards. I don't. Pick 29. Buffalo Bills go with Siobhan Revel, corner out of East Carolina. Rasul Douglas, he's a free agent, so you could be looking for another corner opposite of Christian Benford there. I think defense is kind of low-key a really good pick for the Bills. I don't think it's that low-key. I mean, this Bills defense hasn't been the Bills defense of yesteryear. They haven't been particularly consistent, unfortunately, this season. Though they put up a good game against Denver outside of the opening drive. But I think defensive line's also in play here, but you can make the case in a very studded defensive line class you can make that pick on day 2. And as a matter of fact, we are going to get a second round. So buckle in, strap up. All right, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. There we go. Going with JT Tuimoloau, the edge out of Ohio State. He kind of fits the bill if you're looking for a Brandon Graham type and someone also who can function like function in that Milton Williams role, though. Like Tuimoloau, he's strong, but not necessarily like he's not up to like the 280, 290 billing that Williams is. So this is more so a Brandon Graham, but I mean, the pass rush has kind of been uninspiring for Philly. So the pick makes sense. JT, ton of potential, man. And he's developed. He's gotten better each and every year. It's just not the big jump that I expected after that Penn State game he had back in, I think, 2022. Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to go with Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Good pickup. Good beefy boy. They're going to have to replace Noddy and potentially Wharton, who's more of their pass rushing defensive interior. And you could do that effectively with this pick, like 2 for 1. You get a big meaty boy that can push the pocket, that is an incredible athlete at 340 pounds, and just lining him up next to Chris Jones. Golly, dude. Is it hot in here? Or is it just me? The Detroit Lions, they're going to go with Nick Scorton, edge out of Texas A&M. I was wondering when his name would come off the board. I actually really like the pick here. Edge is going to be a popular pick for the Lions. Zadarius Smith only has 1 more year left on his contract. So Edge, again, if it's available, they're going to people are going to mock guys like, JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, maybe Mike Green. They're going to put those guys here. But hey, if Nick Scorton is here on the board, run the pick in. You just run it in. But let's go ahead. Let's take a gander at this second round, as he's just going to list some out for us. So we're just going to go ahead and bundle this sucker up and talk about some of the picks. I'm actually really excited to see some of the potential names here. So Browns, Ariante Ursary. We've talked DeJuan Jones, kind of a slump. You do have Jack Conklin there, but Jedrick Wills is going to be going elsewhere. So you could definitely make a play at tackle. You got Ursary, who to me is still a top 50 prospect. I don't think he's fallen that far, just because there are going to be concerns with the balance and whatnot. Jalen Milroe going to the Giants so they get their quarterback. I'm sure Giants fans are going to love that in the comment section. Jack Sawyer, edge, going to the Titans. I think the Titans desperately need pass rush. I don't know if this is necessarily the upside play that I want, but there's no denying Jack Sawyer, the production he's had this year, and just how consistently great he has been. So who's to say that this ain't a guy that can be an elite pass rusher in the NFL? Jonah Savanea going to the Jaguars. Who is it? Brandon Sheriff, I believe, is a free agent at guard. So it's not getting Savanea. Yeah, that kind of shores up the interior for you. So I like that pickup. The Raiders, they do end up getting their running back here in Omarion Hampton. I absolutely love him. The dude's built like he's just a big running back that has really good launch speed. All right, we got the New England Patriots. They do get their tackle in Cameron Williams. A bit more of a developmental prospect, at least to me, but in his first year as a starter, yes, there was plenty of downs, but I thought it was very encouraging. And then we have Wyatt Millam going to the Chicago Bears. So did the Bears double dip? Because they got Josh Simmons. So you're getting Millam to play, I guess, guard or center here. There are going to be questions about his length, and he might be a better play at guard. So I don't mind a double dipping on the offensive line here for the Bears. New Orleans Saints do get a wide receiver in Matt Golden. Listen, if you think Matt Golden is not a top 50 prospect, then I think you need to do your homework, man. This guy's been hot. He's been a big reason that on why Isaiah Bond has kind of lost that role. Isaiah Bond started the year hot, ankle injury really hampered him. I don't know how much that ankle injury is still playing was still playing a role in whether it's the conference championship game, their playoff push. But Matt Golden became the guy there at Texas, dude. Dude is really good. Landon Jackson ends up being the second pick here in the second round for the Bears. You get in a guy that really, I think, fits the DeMarcus Walker role here, who's going to be very good against the run, has some upside as a pass rusher, and he brings a very unique build. All right, we got Nick Emanuwari, safety, going to the Jets. I know Chuck Clark's a free agent. Who's the other guy there? Tony Adams or something? I think he's maybe a free agent. Either way, you could definitely make a case for safety. That was early on in mock drafts. The Jets were a popular spot for Malachi Starks. Walter Nolan, man, I'm surprised he didn't go in the first round, but he's going to the Niners here, and they would love that. Again, Niners, I think they're going to go in on the trenches in this draft. Travion Henderson going to the Dallas Cowboys, so they do get their running back. They get him from Ohio State. Oh, man, flashbacks of Zeke. Do I hear it? The Colts, they get a corner after going with Tyler Warren in the first round. Azariah Thomas, who I love the build. I think he's a smooth athlete. Depending on who they bring in as the DC, I think he could end up being a good fit. We'll see. That's something we just don't know yet. I'm surprised Trey Amos didn't go ahead of him, but I guess it is what it is. Matter of fact, Jahdae Barron didn't go ahead of him. I didn't even see him there for Atlanta. Falcons fans, I'm telling you, Barron's a great fit for Atlanta. I think he goes in the first round. I'm kind of shocked that he's this low in Dane Brugler's mock draft. Kind of is what it is. Good players fall, can happen. But golly, man, if you're not penciling him in for the Falcons, I don't know what you're doing. Princely Umami Ellen, edge out of Ole Miss, going to the Cardinals, so they fully revamp that defensive line. I love it. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green, going to the Dolphins. I don't necessarily love this. They have, I mean, how old was it Jonnu Smith? New Smith. How old and what is his contract? That's kind of what I'm curious about. So it's a 2-year deal. Honestly, you can cut him and the dead cap's not bad. Why would you cut him after a monster year? He is 30 though. So maybe not in the realm of possibility. I kind of like the Fannin fit here for the Dolphins. All right, let's keep moving. Marcus Bowe, tackle / guard out of Purdue, going to the Bengals. Finally get some relief from Cordero Volson, who's just not been good. I've been telling you for years, Bengals fans. Deon Walker, defensive tackle out of Kentucky, going to the Seahawks. Seahawks looking for that big, meaty interior player, and they get him right here. Mason Taylor, wow, still high up here, going to the Broncos. I mean, you're just getting more weapons for Bo Nix, getting him more help. I like it. I don't mind it. Steelers go with Maxwell Harrison, corner out of Kentucky. I think a lot of people forget about him. Again, I just released my cornerbacks video and I kind of go into why. I think why he's just been out of sight, out of mind. He had a nagging shoulder injury. So it's not like he had back in 2023, he had 5 interceptions. This year, unfortunately, again, because of the injury, missed some time. So, I mean, in a corner class where it's like, man, is it that good? Oh, that's right. Harrison. He's kind of a stud. Okay, get to play him next to Joey Porter as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers get their linebacker of the future with Carson Schwetziner. I'm going to get the pronunciation down. Right? I know it doesn't look that hard to pronounce, but you get here when you have to say it, and I get nervous. I just get nervous. Linebacker at UCLA. This year was his first year as a starter. The dude's a phenomenal athlete, flies all over the place. And you've been looking for that guy, not just an heir apparent to Levante David, but someone to play next to him. Carson could be that guy. Jordan Birch going to the Packers, so they double dip on the offensive line here because I believe, didn't they get Tyleek Williams in this draft? So Birch, I kind of feel like he's like this 3-4 end type, but also can pass rush like off of the edge. Just I won't have him do that a ton. So I don't mind the fit. And I mean, especially after that game against the Rams, it's like, we need to get pass rush. What is going on? All right, Chargers, they go with Josiah Stewart, edge out of Michigan. I get it. You're pairing Harbaugh up with another guy he coached from last year. Stewart, the biggest knock on him is going to be size and length. Kind of curious to see what he ends up measuring out at, but his production was freaking stellar. The Buffalo Bills get that edge player with Donovan Ezaraku, which is very interesting, like similar to who they drafted this past year, Javon Solomon out of Troy. You're getting a shorter player, though with good length. I think Ezaraku probably got a much better length. Then Solomon was super productive. So very fascinating. Carolina Panthers are going to go with Alfred Collins, defensive tackle out of Texas, a big meaty boy that's going to be really good to stop in the run, that has some upside as a pass rusher. Houston Texans get Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Literally, probably the biggest knocks on him is I don't think he's an elite athlete. And then this dude's just been beat up and hurt. He's missed games the last couple of years because of injury. Can he stay healthy? If you're the Texans, that's probably the last thing you want to worry about when it comes to your wide receiver room. But I think he'd be a good, I don't want to call him a replacement because he's not a replacement for Stephon Diggs in terms of the role, but he's someone that's going to function out of the slot a lot, just in a different way, more as a vertical route runner than this nuanced, shifty route runner that Diggs is. Jahad Campbell, I'm surprised didn't go much higher, but he ends up going with the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe you're not sold on Trent Simpson, is what it is. Campbell, he gives you a very versatile piece that has a lot of upside as a blitzer. And then the Commanders get Alec Iomanner. They get some size, but they also get some speed at the wide receiver position. Take advantage of that deep ball from Jaden Daniels. I like it. I like it quite a bit. All right, well, we got only like 4 more picks here, so let's just run through them. Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame, going to the Bills. I mean, they acquired Cole Bishop last season. Didn't they re-sign Taylor Rapp? They got Hamlin there. I don't know if they necessarily have to go safety. But we got the Eagles here going with a guard / center in Gray Zabel. I get the idea of keeping a strength to strength, but I don't know. If I'm the Eagles, I'm looking at that right tackle position. Like, maybe can we do something about this for the future with Lane Johnson and whatnot? The Chiefs get a big body pass catcher in Jaden Higgins, a good possession guy. Be a true replacement for DeAndre Hopkins. There we go. And then the last pick, the Lions get Benjamin Morrison. Hey, if you want to keep throwing guys there at the corner position, you got Carlton Davis, I think, as a free agent, right, this season. So you could definitely do that. Morrison, if everything checks out well with the hip, I think he's probably still going in the first round. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. No, here, let me give this thing a smiley face real quick. No Trey Amos, and I'm a little surprised by that. Unless I missed it here, I'm going to just Control F. Yeah, no Trey Amos. So that's probably my biggest shock here. But go ahead, let me know what you think of Dane's mock draft in the comment section below. As always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.